smartphone network.
Business bodies, especially
Yes,
the FBCCI,
yes.
has been crying hoarse regarding the proposals that it had put forward but were not incorporated in the proposals. How do you feel is the finance minister going to work on these?
Well, there are clear areas where probably fine-tuning is possible. MCCI, FBCCI have all proposed a lot of changes. I'm sure some of them can be accommodated because, a budget is a human document. It is subjected to flaws and, errors. So, which I guess, if some of the proposals are logical, then they should be accommodated. But one thing must be accepted, that Bangladesh does not have a good tax base. We have a very low tax to GDP ratio. Probably our tax to GDP ratio is something around 9 or 9.5%. Countries like Afghanistan are lower than us, which basically means we are among one of the very few countries in the world which has such a low tax base. So I do believe that much work is needed on expanding our tax base.
Sir, our National Board of Revenue is kind of, getting what you call it, a label of being unable to perform, to deliver.
I would disagree with that. I think NBR has been working hard. I think NBR is, trying to expand our tax resources, but I feel that much more investment in training and technical capacity is needed for the NBR. There was a study which showed that if you invest 65 pence in NBR, the return is 100 taka, which basically means that NBR as an institute organization needs much more capacity development, needs much more manpower, needs much more technological support than what it currently has. Because you see, if you go by the estimate of our middle income group within the country, there are two estimates. One suggests that our middle class is roughly 11 million, Boston Consulting Group, tax payable middle class. The other estimate suggests that our middle class is roughly 25 to 29 million. Now, if you go with the lower bound, which means 11 million people should be paying taxes, we both know that the number of people paying taxes probably 1.2 million, which is indicative that we have 90% tax evasion. So this is a huge social crisis.
So 92,000 crore is expected to be, our deficit.
92,000.
Yes, and how do you think will the government bring in this money?
I think every year it has a standard formula that it borrows money from the bank, from the savings certificates, and some are financed by international support. I think this is a standard practice. Our budget deficit has never crossed the 5% of GDP threshold, which has shown that we have been very pragmatic and prudent. I don't think it is a big problem. What is a big problem is that our national savings certificates are paying an interest rate of 10 to 11%. The government is not rationalizing or fixing or downgrading the interest rate of the savings certificate. That means we are effectively borrowing the government is borrowing at a very high interest rate, where internationally now you can borrow at a very cheap interest rate.
So you advocate, lowering interest rates on certificates?
Of course, because this is clearly a political economy problem. We all know that certain segment of politicians and bureaucrats have invested in these savings certificates, and they don't want the interest rate on these certificates to go down, which in turn implies that they pressurize the government to ensure that the interest rate stays above 11%. How does this make any sense? Well, the market interest rate for my deposits is hovering around 5 to 6%. The national savings certificates are giving me an interest rate of 10 to 11%. This is a clear distortion, probably manipulated by interest groups for their own gain.
So, sir, now the finance minister seems to be upbeat about a beefed up NBR in comparison to what it was.
Yes.
So, has he set his sights on anything specific?
Well, what I am happy about is finally we know what to target. I think we, as a nation, we go around wishy-washy topics, but I think Finance Minister now knows that what we have to do is expand the capacity of
So
our
we'll come back
NBR.
right to this place.
Yes.
You know, it's very interesting. But we need the commercial now.
Please.
Viewers, we take the commercial now. Stay with us. Don't go away.